All right, French learners, get ready. Because today, we're diving deep into French grammar.
Oui.
Specifically expressing future actions using the near future construction.
A very important one.
If you're studying for the pronunciator certificate and really want to nail that library module, then you are definitely in the right place.
Absolutely. This is a game changer.
So let's break it down.
Okay.
What is this near future construction, and why would we use it instead of just the future tense?
Well, it's a great question.
Yeah.
Because, French has a future tense.
Yeah.
But the near future tense is something that we use all the time in spoken French.
Okay.
So it's important to understand.
Yeah.
And it really gives that sense of immediacy.
Okay.
So when you're saying, I'm going to do something rather than I will do something, that's when we're using the near future tense.
So it's less, I will eat dinner later. It's more like, I'm about to eat dinner.
Exactly.
I'm heading to the kitchen right now.
That's exactly it.
Okay, so how do we form this magical construction?
Okay, so the construction is quite simple. It's the present tense of the verb aller, to go.
Okay.
Plus the infinitive of whatever the action verb is that you're going to do.
Okay.
So for example, je vais manger.
Okay. I am going to eat.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can see there that the verb aller is conjugated in the present tense, even though we're talking about a future action.
Got it. So aller is doing all the work to show us that it's going to happen in the future.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then the infinitive is just, tacked on there at the end.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, cool. So we've got the positive, but what about negation?
Okay.
How do we say, I am not going to eat?
So that's where that kind of, classic ne pas combination comes in.
Yeah.
So it becomes je ne vais pas manger.
I'm not going to eat.
Exactly.
Perfect. So we sandwich our conjugated aller in between the ne and the pas.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay. And how about questions?
Okay, so with questions, there's two ways that we can ask a question in the near future tense.
Okay.
The first one is using inversion. So we invert the subject pronoun and the verb.
Okay.
So for example, if we wanted to ask, are you going to eat? We would say, vas-tu manger?
Vas-tu manger?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then the other way is by using est-ce que at the beginning of the sentence.
Okay.
So, est-ce que tu vas manger?
Est-ce que tu vas manger?
Okay.
So we can either invert or add an est-ce que.
Exactly.
Okay, perfect. And this all seems pretty straightforward, but, French is famous for irregular verbs.
Yes.
So do they mess this up?
Not at all.
Okay, great.
That's the beauty of this construction.
Awesome.
Because the only verb that is actually conjugated is LA.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the infinitive is. It could be ponger to take. It could be dire to say.
Yeah.
It's always going to be aller, conjugated in the present tense.
Perfect.
Plus that infinitive.
That is a relief because you never know with those regular verbs.
Exactly.
Okay. So we can use it in the positive. We can use it in the negative. We can use it in questions. Are there any little tips or tricks to add a little extra,
Absolutely.
oof?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we can use adverbs of time to kind of specify when exactly
Oh,
we're going to do that action.
okay.
So for example, we can use bientôt, which means soon.
Okay.
We could use demain, which means tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
So je vais manger bientôt.
I'm going to eat soon.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or je vais manger demain.
I'm going to eat tomorrow.
Exactly.
Okay.
So you can really specify when in the near future.
So it's like adding a little timestamp onto your plans.
Exactly. Exactly.
Perfect.
Okay.
But it's not always about plans, right?
Yes.
What if we want to make like predictions about things?
Yes.
Like if we think it's going to rain,
Yes.
can we use the near future for that?
Yes, you absolutely can.
Okay.
So you can say, il va pleuvoir.
I think it's going to rain.
Exactly.
All right.
So it's not just for actions that we're planning on doing.
Yeah.
It's also for predictions as well.
Okay, so it's almost like you're giving a little mini weather forecast.
Exactly.
Okay, and last but not least,
Okay.
those pesky reflexive verbs, the ones that like to reflect back on themselves.
Yes. Yes.
How do those work with the near future?
Okay, so with reflexive verbs, the reflexive pronoun comes before the infinitive.
Okay.
So for example, je vais me laver.
Okay, I'm going to wash myself.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's the same construction. You're just adding that reflexive pronoun before the infinitive.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so we've covered plans, predictions, and even those tricky reflexive verbs.
We have.
So far, so good for the near future. It seems pretty versatile.
It is a very versatile tense.
Awesome. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a little break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, we will continue our deep dive into the near future construction in French.
Okay, so as a quick recap, we've learned that the near future construction in French is a super handy way to talk about things that are going to happen soon.
Yeah, like right around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. And remember, the key is using the present tense of aller along with the infinitive of our action verb.
Right. And don't forget about those adverbs like bientôt or demain to add that extra layer of when it's going to happen.
Yes, those are very helpful.
Yeah, and it's not just about, scheduling our day. It's about predictions too, like il va pleuvoir.
Exactly. It's like having a little crystal ball.
It's going to rain.
Exactly. And for those of you out there getting ready for that pronunciator certificate, especially the library module,
Yes.
the near future is going to be your best friend.
You're going to want to get really familiar with this one.
Oh, yeah, it's going to pop up everywhere.
So make sure you've got this construction down, Pat.
Absolutely. And, even if you're not studying for a test, just being able to use the near future naturally is going to make your French sound so much smoother.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's one of those things that native speakers just use all the time without even thinking about it.
It's true. It's true. And speaking of native speakers, have you ever noticed how they use the near future to, soften a command?
Oh, tell me more about that.
Okay, so instead of saying, ferme la porte,
Right.
which is close the door.
Close the door, yeah.
They might say, tu vas fermer la porte, s'il te plaît.
Oh, okay. So it's like, you're going to close the door, please.
Exactly. It just sounds a lot more polite.
Right. It's not as harsh.
Exactly.
More of a suggestion than a command.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So it's not just about, the strict grammar rules.
Yeah.
It's about how it's used in actual conversations.
Exactly. It's all about the nuance.
Right. The nuance.
Okay.
So how about this? Let's say I'm making plans with a friend, and I want to say something like,
Okay.
I'm going to grab some lunch, and then I'm going to head to the library to study Bisnialmer. How would I say that all? Using the near future.
Okay, so you would simply use the near future construction for both actions.
Sure.
So, je vais déjeuner, et puis je vais aller à la bibliothèque pour étudier.
Okay, so I'm basically just repeating that. Aller plus infinitive structure for each action.
Exactly.
Perfect. Okay. And what about those times when we're not 100% certain about the future?
Okay.
Like if I want to say, I might go to the cinema later, but I'm not making any promises. Can I still use the near future?
So that's a good point, because the near future does often imply a certainty.
Okay.
So when you want to express a doubt or a possibility, you might actually want to use the conditional tense in that case.
Oh, okay.
So instead, you might say, j'irai peut-être au cinéma plus tard.
Okay, so we're bringing in the conditional things that are a little iffy.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, so we've talked about using the near future for plans, predictions, even softening commands.
Yeah.
Any other situations where this tense comes in handy?
Oh, absolutely. As you keep learning French, you'll find all sorts of expressions and constructions that work really well with the near future.
Okay.
For example, you can use it with time expressions.
Oh.
Things like dans une heure, which means in an hour, or la semaine prochaine, which means next week.
Okay, so je vais aller au concert dans une heure.
Exactly.
I'm going to go to the concert in an hour.
Exactly.
Perfect.
And remember, you can combine it with those modal verbs.
Yeah.
Like vouloir, to want, and pouvoir, to be able.
Right. So, je vais pouvoir parler français couramment bientôt.
Exactly.
I'm going to be able to speak French fluently soon.
Parfait.
Awesome. All right. Well, before we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I want to go back to something we mentioned earlier, which is practicing this, in real life.
Yes.
Especially for our listeners who are using Pronunciator. Any tips for them?
Oh, absolutely. So first of all, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
Yeah.
Even if you're not 100% sure if you're using it correctly, just try it out.
Yeah, it's better to just try and maybe make a mistake than not try at all.
Exactly. The more you use it, the more comfortable you'll become.
And the more natural it will sound.
Exactly. And another tip is to really pay attention to how native speakers use it in the pronunciator dialogues and exercises.
Yeah, you can learn a lot just from listening.
Oh, absolutely.
And observing how they're using the language.
And then try to imitate what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mimicry is key. And then, of course, Pronunciator has all those great features
Yes.
for practicing so you can record yourself.
Yes. Use the flashcards.
You can test yourself. There are quizzes, all sorts of good stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's like having a personal French tutor right there in your pocket.
Exactly.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the near future construction.
I think so.
We've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've learned how to use it in different situations.
Yes.
We've even picked up some tips from native speakers.
Absolutely.
So I hope our listeners are feeling ready to put their newfound knowledge into practice.
I hope so. Remember, fluency is a journey.
It is.
It's not a destination.
You got it.
Okay.
So until our next deep dive, may your French adventures be filled with joy discovery and, of course, plenty of near-future constructions.
Au revoir.
As we wrap up our exploration of the near future, I just want to remind everyone that it's okay to make mistakes.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, when you're learning French or any language, really, it's all part of the process.
It really is.
Nobody's perfect.
Exactly.
And even native speakers, they make mistakes sometimes too.
They do, and they don't even think about it.
Exactly. And, speaking of native speakers, I've noticed that they often use the near future in ways that are a bit more subtle than just like, I'm going to do this or that.
Right.
It's like they use it to add a little extra something to what they're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like a nuance.
A nuance, exactly. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like sometimes they'll use the near future to express a really strong intention.
Oh, okay.
So instead of saying, je veux faire ça, I want to do that, they might say, je vais faire ça, like I am going to do that.
Oh, so it's like they're really emphasizing that they're going to do it.
Exactly. It's like, I'm determined to do this.
Okay.
And another thing they do is use the near future with reflexive verbs to talk about something that's about to happen like right now.
Oh, okay.
So instead of saying, je me prépare à sortir, I'm getting ready to go out, they'll say, je vais me préparer à sortir. Like, I'm about to get ready to go out.
Oh, so it's like it's going to happen imminently.
Exactly. It's like, hold on. I'm doing it right now.
It's about to go down.
Exactly.
Okay, wow. So the near future is really more than just a simple grammar rule.
Yes.
It's like a window into how French speakers actually use their language.
It's about the way they think.
Exactly. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the near future construction.
It does.
We've covered so much ground today.
We have.
We've learned the basics, the nuances, even gotten some insider tips from those native speakers. So I really hope our listeners are feeling inspired and ready to take their French to the next level.
Yes. And for those of you studying for your pronunciator certificate, remember, practice makes perfect.
It does.
Don't be afraid to experiment with the near future.
Exactly.
Make those mistakes.
Yeah.
And learn from them. That's how you get better.
You got it.
The library module is waiting for you.
It is.
You got this.
We believe in you.
Absolutely. And remember, learning a language is a journey.
Yes.
Not a destination. So enjoy the ride.
Enjoy the ride. Absolutely. Well, until next time, au revoir and bon courage.
Au revoir.